of weight loss is due to proper exhalation. You know, and so when we exhale, and this is where, if we're chest breathers and we're exhaling, we're like, and it's coming, and we hear the weird sounds. It's more from up here, as opposed to where it's a little more deeper. Your guttural is going to be kind of stuck in here. This is where the yoga ujjayi breath kind of flows through, but that's because it's soft in that space. But we're going to do where we're going to take a nice deep inhale. I want everybody to go to your own pacing, because my exhale, guaranteed, is a lot longer than most of everybody's in here. And so if you're going to try to keep up with my exhale, then that is certainly going to cause you to be dizzy, and that is not what we're trying to accomplish here. And so I'm going to do one exhale, though, for you guys, so you can hear what it is on my experience of an exhale, of what you're seeking for yours, of like knowing what to be completely empty. Really, again, we're pushing out the cellular garbage in the airspace of the carbon dioxide. We're sweeping it on out. So we take a breath in, and then when I exhale,
oh, you were still exhaling?
I was still exhaling. So, huge difference, because I'm exhaling, there's a pause, and I hang out at the bottom of my exhale, and I look to see if there's anywhere else, and I don't know if you saw me kind of wiggle, but that wiggle almost is like wiggles out the diaphragm. And that's why personally I would prefer, if we're really doing diaphragmatic breathing, I know it says sit or stand, that's where you find it. But if you're going to work your diaphragm, you need to be standing. My opinion, I'm not medically certified by any board by any means. I'm just talking about what I know from my experience in my life, and how I know I can find it, how I can activate it, and when it strengthens, and when it's just sort of doing what it should be doing.
If it is atrophy, can it come back?
Of course.
Okay.
You know, it's not atrophy, and I guess atrophy is a scary word.
Yeah.
It's not atrophied like it's a pile of dust within.
Right.
I
know, you could see me, right? I'm kind of freaking out.
Yeah.
Thinking, that's why I can't find it. It's atrophy.
It's nothing but dust. So, no, but it's just, it's weak, you know, and like, ultimately, that's where when we have, like, through this session, as much as we're seeking, and we're going to stand up, and I want to do that deep exhalation, and that deep exhalation, let me see if we have here with the, you know, and again, this is sit in a comfortable, when we're sitting, okay, if you're not standing, then when you're sitting, you should be in an open position. And that open position is because, again, blood flow, lymphatic flow, you have major arterial, like veins, everything is trying to flow, and if you're breathing going to create that pressure that, and again, I guess let's all do this with